Hi, I'm Somer Hackley,
And I am Zen Mac, and this is the Art of Search Hiring Manager Series.
and these are stories and insights about all things hiring. Zen, good to see you again.
Hello, it's just us today.
Just us. All right, I have a question for you. You ready?
Okay, go.
Okay, so how do you know in this situation where you have a candidate, they have multiple offers, how do you know that you have a shot at actually landing this person and that they will take the role that you have in front of them versus one of the other opportunities that they're interviewing for?
This is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels a little bit like backwards, what I'm about to say. But I think if you're all the way at the very end and you know you want to make an offer to somebody and you learn that they have other opportunities at that point, I think you kind of missed the boat. Like, in my opinion, as you go through the interview process and the very first call with the candidate, the very first conversation about the job opening, there should be a conversation around what that person's actually looking for and is there actual alignment. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a candidate and they're like, I really want a startup environment. I want to be on the ground. I want to be like part of the team that really builds something from zero to one. That's fantastic. And then as we're going through the interview process, I've got them at a very early stage startup. I said, well, what are your other interviews? Well, my other interviews are, buckle in. It is with Fortune 500s, it's with FANG companies, it's with 20 plus person teams. Hold on. But you told me you were looking for startups and then all these other companies are these other larger companies. I don't just note it. I actually asked the person. I said, "Well, how does that align with what you were wanting from a startup?" That's exactly why I'm so interested in this job. Oh, ding ding ding. Okay, that makes sense. Or they could say, "You're actually right. I started interviewing and I realized that I'm not really that comfortable with a startup," right? So it really depends on this level of trust that you build throughout the interview process. Because by the time you get to the end and you go, "Hey, my job versus all these other jobs," you're not really going to get a chance at understanding what the right alignment is for that person. Because you may come to find out that they really like your job, but there are elements in those things that are unclear. And so when things are unclear, it's going to be a no. So let's address that. Right? What are some of the possible reasons that somebody would be interested in taking a job? And we kind of know those by instinct, but overall, they've kind of fallen into one of these buckets. Long-term growth opportunities, promotability, opportunity for new things, trust, right? Something to build of their own. What other reasons could there be as far as like someone wanting a new job? It's almost always often going to fall into this category of growth. So as a hiring team, as a hiring manager, as a recruiter, I would challenge anyone to go, do I know what that person's ultimately looking for? And do we have it here? And if the answer is yes and yes, the third question is, did we communicate that? And if it's no, 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 then no, you don't have a shot, right? It's kind of simple. If it's yes, 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 then yeah, you do have a shot, but the work is not done. That's kind of how I visualize that. I know it sounds a little bit kind of neatly packaged, but what I'm really arguing for is this is a process of discovery and not just let's get to the very end and go, oh, yeah, do we have a shot?
So here's the nuance is so it's one thing to know if the role that we're talking to this candidate about aligns with all of the candidates' wants and goals and dreams and all that great stuff. And a great recruiter totally understands everything you're talking about. Like they've gotten to know the candidate, there's trust, that kind of thing. Here's the nuance of the candidate has other opportunities too. And I'd love to know from you, and let's talk about it. Like, how do you build so much trust with a candidate that they tell you about all these other opportunities? Because I would think a candidate, um, it would be in the candidate's best interest, I would think, for a candidate that's working with a certain type of recruiter to keep their cards, close to their vest and say, I love this role, I want this role, and collect all the offers possible and then make the decision. So for a
Right.
candidate to actually say to you, you know what, this is my number two choice. It's a big deal. It's like it's
Hmm.
such a big deal. And Yeah, like I remember back in the day, I had a gentleman on my team and a candidate called us and called him and said, "Look, I don't know if I can go on this interview tomorrow because I just got another offer
Hmm.
and I like that role more." And he was trying to, he was wanted to cancel the interview that we had for him. And so this person on my team came up to me and was like telling me like, oh no, what can we do? What can we do?" I'm like, "Here's the thing. He told you. He
This is number
told
two.
you. Great
Yeah.
job. This is awesome." Like,
Yep.
because he didn't have to tell you. He didn't have to even like physically tell you. He could have emailed you. He could have just canceled. But no, if
No
he's actually
showed.
given you an opportunity to talk about it, that
Yeah.
is awesome. So
Yep.
how do you feel like you get
Mm,
there where candidates are really sharing everything, you know?
I love it. I mean, a couple of things that come to mind, and I'm just, this is just my initial feedback here was you build the trust and yes, how do you get to a place where you even can understand that, right? Like a really good question to ask is to even get that idea. What is number one? What is number two? Note that those two are not static items. They're number one based on the information that the person has right now. So it could be that it's the
I
opportunity that
love
you have.
that so much.
Right? It could
Yeah.
be the opportunity you send them is actually number one. They just haven't discovered that part of
Yes.
it yet. And so the,
Hmm.
the critical question is, well, why? You want to cancel that interview? Why? Because you wanted to go yesterday. What changed? Well,
Hmm.
I got an offer and that other offer expires on Monday and tomorrow's Friday. Okay, well, what if we could accelerate that and at least get some kind of an answer by end of the interview so that you know what to do? Oh, then that's great.
Hmm.
And so that's one, and you've delayed that process of withdrawal, but you're also going, well, what is it about that other offer that makes it so attractive? And
Yep.
so that gives you a chance to just discover what that means, right? In when I was younger in recruiting, one of the classic examples of how do you get what we call rank, which again, now as I'm older and more experienced, it's a dynamic thing, is if both companies made you the exact same offer, what job do you want? And that
Hmm.
makes it very clear what the ranking is. But I still question that because ranking could apply across multiple dimensions. Ranking based on people, ranking based on the job itself, the actual work that they're doing, ranking based on the exposure, ranking based on like promotability. What so I take that with a big grain of salt. But just getting an idea of what the instinctive rank may be is super helpful for you as you go into this pattern of discovery with a candidate. So I find that any kind of tricks and tips are all very useful in in the larger context, understanding that you're talking to a human and they're not a
Hmm.
static thing, right? It's not chiseled in stone, it's not printed on a piece of paper. You just have to keep in mind that as you talk to somebody, it's not about this static rank conversation. It's what else is there that you haven't discovered yet that really means what they want in the long-term job.
I love it. And the last thing I want to wrap up with, which is coming through in everything you're saying, but I just want to say it explicitly,
Yep.
is that it's so important that good recruiters have their candidates back and
Yeah.
want the candidate to make the right decision for the candidate. And so, what you're saying earlier, you have to know what the right decision is for the candidate based on all the things the candidate said, but the candidate will be honest if they realize you have their back. And if you're like,
Mhm.
look, I don't even know if this is the right role for you, like from day one, if you're like, you know what, let's figure it out together. Let's get that information for you versus
Yeah.
like hands on hips, take the job. It's the best. Here's why it's great, and just
Yeah.
selling at someone, throw the
It never
kitchen sink
works.
at them. Like, no, like
No, just to
just
stop.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just learn, discover, listen, and then think, what would you do if you were that candidate? Would you
Yeah.
do that thing that you're asking them to do, or that you're, who knows? So anyway, wanted to leave
I
it
love
with
that
that
though.
is just
Yeah.
be
No
on the
kitchen
same
sink.
side.
No kitchen sink. No throwing things at them. No
Don't throw
talking at them.
anything.
Yeah. Please don't. But really, it's about discovery. And I think that's harder. That's really asking you to be on the call. That's asking you to check your notes before you speak to somebody. That's asking you to not wing it, right? It's asking you to be really conscious about what you've spoken to this person about. Is this really in their best interest? And imagining yourself as a giant ear and just learning. And I think if we do more of that, you'll have lots of shots. I don't think it's just about landing one person. I think you're going to get the best talent.
and is a long-term solution for everyone. I love it. All right, Zen, this was a great conversation. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.